so. Let you know when you have 2 left and then 1. Okay, we have DT and Brittany this morning. They're going to talk to us about student involvement.
All right.
Ladies are ready.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. My name is Deepti Cheney. I am the Interim Director at the Rayburn Student Center.
And I'm Brittany Siska. I'm the Assistant Director for Student Involvement at the Student Center.
We just wanted to provide some initial context. So student involvement exists within the department of the Rayburn Student Center. Our focus really at the Student Center is to really provide premier programming and activities with awesome, excellent customer service, and also really being able to create a community that is there to gather, connect, and experience. And we specifically do that with intentional programming and opportunities that really foster an environment for students to engage and develop and succeed on our campus. So within our area, we've got the building operations, functionality, marketing, pride shop, but our focus today will be specifically in our student involvement area.
So specifically on student involvement, we exist to promote the student learning, involvement, and success aspect of the experience. And that includes, we support university mission by providing those unique wow experiences and purposeful and intentional programming that is free to all students. We also we create opportunities for student involvement and input through the committees that we have and through surveys to allow students to bring their creativity and innovation to their programming while also developing their own leadership skills.
To go a little more into depth of who we are a student organization area. We have a community of about 130 student organizations. We provide training and workshops for those organizations as well as resources. We have our Student Organizations Allocations Committee, which looks at funding requests for our student organizations and the events that they do. Our POP Print program is our co-curricular transcript experience, which really is a transcript for students to talk about their marketable skills that they've gained while being a student on our campus for that post-collegiate experience. Our Campus Activities Board is our premier programming board for our students, averaging a program a week free for our student population. Student Government Association, which you've already heard about. Our Golden Leos, who are presidential ambassadors, so they serve at the discretion of our office of our president's office. The club, so operations and programming. The club is a reservable space for our community while also providing programming opportunities for our campus community. Special events, recognizing that the first 2 weeks are extremely critical for retaining students on a college campus. We do 2.5 weeks worth of Welcome Week programs in the fall, which is known as Lions Roar, as well as Lions Leap in the spring, which is a 2-week Welcome Week experience. And then Homecoming and our speaker series, which you'll hear about a little bit.
So the funds how they'll be utilized that we're requesting are in 3 different main areas. So we have our salaries, wages, and benefits for our professional staff, which are 5 members, as well as the Campus Activities Board, Executive Board, and Summer Board. We also have our operating costs, which are administratively cover our office functionality and supplies. We also supply inventory items for students to check out through their student organizations, as well as travel. In our programming area, we will get into the bulk of that in more detail in a little bit.
To talk a little bit more about kind of how we engage our students, we provide post-event surveys and evaluations. Not only did you like the event, how did you hear about it, but what is something you learned or you gained from this experience? And so this is really a snapshot of just some of the data we've been able to receive, but really thinking about learning about different cultures, experiencing different things that students may not have been able to experience had they gone somewhere else. We even have something as simple as they were able to create their own little cactus plant to have in their room, but really talking about that social experience, that mental health, really looking at those pieces. And looking at our Lions Roar and Lions Leap attendance, we're really looking at really engaging with a good chunk of our student population as it relates to the different classification breakdowns.
So here is our line-by-line breakdown of our programming areas. All those with an asterisk next to them are budgets that we utilize through the end of the fiscal year that we are currently in, because our programming runs through September, because again, we recognize how critical those first 2 weeks really are for the student retention and experience.
So if cut and the impacts of cutting our budget, we would continue to increase our collaborative programming through various campus partnerships that we already have. We'll continue to do that. Looking at conference travel being reduced to fewer number of delegates, this is more specifically to our Campus Activities Board. And then considering eliminating experiences or elements to programming that necessarily enhance the experience but may not be an indispensable piece to the overall success of that program. The impact of it is potentially being able to not be able to bring back engaging and informative programming as we go to some of our conferences for that. And then the lacking of the holistic development programming opportunities for our students due to decreased funding. Jumping into our OrgSync request, our one-time funding. OrgSync is an online software portal that we utilize on our campus in multiple capacities. We have about 5,000 student users that are part of student organizations that function within this community. It serves as a resource for forums, really allows our students to engage online as an organization community. Our Pop Print co-curricular transcript experience is also housed through this program. We track our experiences and that populates the co-curricular transcript. Other areas across campus are also utilizing it. For example, our SEEDS department is utilizing it for their programming marketing as well as being able to track their attendance. Our QEP plan, which is in its final year of existence, going into that, very critical to our accreditation. They manage their programs with the Global Scholars and Fellows program, while also each student, freshman student coming in at the beginning of the fall, do an ePortfolio global assessment piece. And then we're also being able to produce true data about demographical information of our students that are attending events, engaging with that platform, to really look at where our holes and our gaps for programming pieces. Looking at our costs, we're doing a one-year contract. And so we're actually getting some funding from QEP to go towards it, so our request for that is really just the remaining part of it. If not funded, we really lose a community of engagement for our student organization population. That co-curricular transcript, which is connected to our Texas 30x60 program, would not be able to really be recorded and captured, and are really an inability for our QEP to be able to continue in its final year. And like I said, just the inability to function for that piece with utilizing this software. So, any questions on student involvement and OrgSync one-time funding?
Questions for DT and Brittany?
Steve, is this OrgSync funding? I'm assuming this is, you said it's an annual license fee. So it's going to be a fund. It's going to be money that's going to be needed in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
are you seeing this as one-time funding every year, or are you going to try to work this into your student center?
We're looking at that. So right now we are looking at a 1 year to kind of gain the recycle of kind of all of our. We have a bunch of different areas that are on it, and they all started at different times. So this 1 year would allow us to get our cycle back together. We imagine that this next year that the QEP part, depending on what they decide to do moving forward with the global competency, they use that tool right now. Actually, OrgSync is merging with another entity as well, another software system called Campus Labs. And so we're giving that this next year to really look at what that platform is going to look like. We've also started talking about trying to fund it a little bit through our budget, but then also looking at our campus partners across campus that are utilizing that space and seeing if they're able to contribute to that as well, recognizing that is a big chunk of money, but it's so critical to our functionality.
You mentioned about conference travel. Is that for the students involving CAB?
So we have a couple of different methods. Yeah, so our Campus Activities Board, they attend the National Association for Campus Activities. We are a member of that. And that's actually where they go for either on a regional or national level. And they go really for 3 to 5 days. And from 8 a.m. to midnight, they are watching acts. So comedians, magicians, engaging with bands and performers, novelty items, speakers, pieces like that, to really look at what is that they can bring back to our campus. And so that's one of the conferences that they're able to go to and really bring back some of that. And we connect with agents in that area, establish relationships there, and there they allow us to do something called block booking, which is connecting, creating a network with the schools in our area and saying, hey, we're really interested in bringing in Tim to do his magic act, you know, the first week of school. Oh, well, Sam Houston and University of Houston and, you know, UTSA are all interested in the same way. Can we get a block together and get a reduced rate? And so conversations and dialogues like that happen at MECA.
And how many students are there?
It really depends. More regionally, because it's a little bit closer, we're able to take about 5 students. They have to apply to attend it and talk about what they want to bring back to the campus. They are expected to do a report when they get back to the organization. On the national level, obviously that's a little bit more expensive, so the pricing reduces, or the number of people that we can take, so that's typically between 2 to 3. But that's typically in the spring semester, so they have to say that they are interested in being a part of the programming board this next year, and really be able to bring back some ideas to the campus community.
And I will say this past year, the 2 that were able to go to the national conference this year are, one is president and one is a chair, event chair.
Can you talk a little bit about if we have to cut? I know at one time, Lions Roar used to be just a week. Same thing with Lions League. So if we had to go back to that model, talk a little bit about the impact you might see in that an area we had to cut.
Yeah, I think that more specifically to that, you know, we have a very, I mean, it's 23 events that happen in a span of 2.5 weeks for Lions Roar, and Lions Leap has started to gain its momentum over the last couple of years. We used to not have a spring welcome week at all, but the importance of really re-engaging our students was really critical for us, and so that area has about 15 to 20 signature events or events, and so we really partner heavily with our campus community with that. So while we may have 10 signature events, it's really a collaborative experience. I think if we were to shrink it down to 1 week, I think we'd run the risk of not being able to provide students more resources and opportunities to engage with the different areas of campus. So during Lions Roar and Lions Leap, we host a student organization fair, typically the second week of school, because we recognize that where our student organization leaders are at is they are just transitioning to the start of the semester with their classes, moving and all that kind of stuff. So we always look at the intentionality of where we place programs and events. And then also in the fall, we try to tie it with our athletics program. So I know this year's a little bit different, but we're already working with our athletic program to look at different programming pieces, but it's tied to, you know, the football game or the first football game. But we run the risk of, you know, there's only so much time that you have, and we have a lot of staple events that our students, you know, look forward to each year. So we're getting our returning students, but then we're also, those students are sharing the excitement that they're looking forward to with our first year students when they're at orientation.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for DT or Brittany? No? All right, you guys shifting, same people shifting hats?
Yay!
Brittany and DT are going to talk about homecoming and student series. There we go.
All right.
Whenever you guys are ready.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So we're going to talk about homecoming in our speaker series. We're going to start off with homecoming and really looking at homecoming as a celebratory week in the fall semester that looks to providing students with that personal experience to reflect on what being a Lion means to them. So instilling that campus pride and spirit through really purposeful programming. So we talked about the beginning of our presentation previous about the retention piece, but really having students feel connected to our campus community and really being able to articulate what being a Lion means to them. Like earlier, we also talked about the experiences that we do have. We really try to create student involvement experiences and input through all facets of our planning process when we look at programming for homecoming.
So the week of homecoming is very student-driven programming during the whole week to focus on that campus pride and spirit, as well as celebrate the university's history and provide those unique new experiences. So we have our staple events, but the new experiences are, for example, our theme was Haunted Homecoming a few years ago, so we brought in a haunted house and an escape room to campus. And the committee that is 2 years ago transitioned to an all-student-led committee. 12 to 14 students serve on it with 2 advisors. And the process begins in January for that next homecoming.
And looking at the components of homecoming, which is where our funding typically is utilized, is the enhancement of our student committee. So we have an application process. We look at team development. These are students that have never maybe participated in something before on campus. These are active student leaders, so we get that range. So really fostering who they are and becoming of student leaders is really critical for that. We do weekly meetings and got 7 pages of notes from their meeting yesterday, which is exciting. And we do summer work days that provide that opportunity to build that team unity while also getting some work done over the summer. And then they are responsible for the theme selection, so really kind of helping frame that week's celebration. We program the week of homecoming Sunday to Saturday. There's an event that typically takes place throughout the course of the week. Most of them are geared to students, but really fostering that environment to collaborate with faculty, staff, and our community. We have several signature events. Our Hot Dog Spirit Rally, which is what it is. It is one of our most traditioned events on our campus. So really dating back to 30 years ago, I believe, and looking at some of our archives. And our Bonfire and Fireworks Show, which is pretty awesome. And then marketing, really wanting to get the word out. One of the things that we've heard is that students really don't know when it is homecoming, so really focusing on our marketing efforts as we start the academic year.
So looking at Homecoming 2017, kind of in a review, our theme was Century as Lions. We had 12 student committee members that made up the committee. We hosted 8 events that brought in about 3,000 attendees. And we partnered with RLL Athletics and the Campus Activities Board to provide a robust array of events for the student population.
Looking towards 2018, we're asking for $35,000, and last year we received $30,000. We spent right around just shy of that $30,000 mark. We ended up having to charge students for t-shirts, and we actually decreased the number of events that we had this last year with that, and so really that $35,000 would really provide us a little bit more of a robust homecoming week spread.
So if we were to get cut, again, we would have to look at hosting fewer programs and bringing in those outside experiences related to the theme. We would have to have limited unique marketing opportunities, so we may lose out on some of the population that we're trying to reach. We would have to continue to charge students for shirts, which if we did not have to do that, we feel it would make the students feel a little bit more appreciated and be able to show their pride, also because some of our students aren't financially able to buy the t-shirt. And again, we would consider eliminating elements that enhance programs but aren't indispensable. So Hot Dog Spirit Rally, we would probably need hot dogs, but looking at some of those other events that it's not required. But the impact would really be the decrease in the students' engagement and with the campus community with regard to that persistence in the middle semester and spirit, pride, and tradition.
Talking about our speaker series, looking at our speaker series, the purpose of the speaker series is to bring high caliber and a diverse range of perspectives with speakers that are recognizable, well known, and who are engaging. So this started about 2012 as really a desire to want to provide some sort of equivalent to the SMU Tate Lecture Series. So that is a very reputable, recognizable piece, and wanted to be able to foster speakers on our campus and that really being able to engage with different speakers from different perspectives.
So again, how we support the university mission, like several of our other programming, is to provide those unique wow experiences and really intentional, purposeful programming that is free for students, as well as bringing in speakers to provide a wide array of perspectives and diverse opinions that help students become global citizens and global leaders.
Our components to our speaker series is we've got a committee that's comprised of students, faculty, and staff, and I really like this this component of our speaker series because it provides our students to engage with staff members and faculty members that in a different capacity, right? And so that's been a really cool learning process, and to see those connections stem beyond that committee involvement has been really awesome. We identify themes to focus on each year, so this is kind of a list of the different themes that we've been able to identify. Really looking at what is it that the messages of our students what are they needing to hear this year? What is that focus? And really being intentional about that piece. We strive to do 2 speakers each year, and in addition to the formal program, the uniqueness of the speaker series is that it's not just the formal program in a Q&A. We try to provide an additional opportunity, if not 2, for speakers to engage with that speaker, or the students to engage with that speaker on a more one-on-one level. So maybe that's a student leader dinner or a meet and greet reception at the end of it. So we're asking for $78,000, looking at an average amount of honorarium, ranging around $40,000. Just to provide some updates, we were unable to host a speaker this year. Looking at the fall semester, we were really looking at speaker overload on our campus community. Speakers have taken off. In going through some transition, the committee came together and made several attempts to actually put in offers to a couple of speakers to host this spring. Unfortunately, they were rejected, and so therefore, we have a plan that's devised to look at bringing in speakers for the start of the semester next year. We would have to reduce the speaker to probably one speaker, lowering the expectations of what high caliber means, and just the inability to really be able to provide that high caliber wow moment experience for our speaker series.
Questions?
Why were your speakers rejected? Was
Yeah.
it because we didn't offer enough money?
Some of that is tied to it. Some of it might have been associated with timing of things. This year we learned we have, one of the reasons why we go to some of those conferences is to engage with different agencies. We used a different agency this year, tried to be different to provide a wide variety of it, and so that process took a little bit longer than we anticipated. Sometimes it's, it could be because of scheduling. We try to find different avenues, so we've looked at journalism areas, individuals from the journalism field, we've looked at athletes, we've looked at entertainment folks, and so, but also obviously with the true mission of what their message is, and so a lot of it, I think this year was, some of it was just not enough money and there was just a cap that we weren't going to go over, but then the secondary piece of it was maybe timing of schedules, maybe due to TV filming or scheduling and that.
How much have you, so you're awarded 50,000 this year, how much of that did you spend?
We haven't spent that this year due to the circumstances that I had mentioned previous, but the committee is getting together this summer to talk about putting together a speaker to go in to the start of the semester. But really looking at taking a really good look this summer about speakers on our campus, recognizing that the Sam Rayburn Speaker Series, which is hosted through our president's office, is around, but recognizing our president, I don't know the future of that series once our president leaves, so wanting to make sure that we're still able to provide that unique experience for our campus community is something that we want to make sure that we strive to have.
Other questions for Kiki or Brittany about homecoming or speaker series? Thank you, ladies.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
your time
you.
this morning.